All right, so welcome Dr. Ruturaj, Dr. Samuel, uh, and few others on YouTube. And I hope it's an interesting learning with Nash Therapeutics, one book which is very valuable and important for all the homeopaths, whether you are a beginner, whether you are a professional practicing since many years, or you are somewhere in between. This book has kind of been very inspiring for every homeopath because it not only has materia medica but it also has uh, philosophy, materia medica, potency, repetition, follow protocol, when to give what remedy, after what remedy you should give the next remedy, all interspersed in between a beautiful commentary by Nash. And today we'll discuss the trio of delirium. Usually, I've been taking five remedies at a time in the last few sessions. But yesterday and today, I have done something new which is very valuable and important because sometimes Nash gives these group of remedies in sync with each other as an explanation. One remedy mentioned in the other remedy, and something about the other remedy mentioned and in the first remedy. Something like a commentary which is going on in front of you by Nash itself. And today we'll take up the trio of delirium. Good to see Dr. Priyanka Patil, uh, Homeo Lovers, someone named as Homeo Lovers joining, Naushad, someone named as Naushad, and Ismail. So I think there are some regulars, and it is good that at least 0.0005% of the population wants to learn something which is very basic and not something which is extraordinary new, or kind of new remedy and ostrich and eagle, and this is not what our masters prescribed. They prescribed something which was very simple, very subtle. So without me wasting much time, let's go and see the remedies trio of delirium, which is belladonna, hyoscyamus, and stramonium. So Nash is a beautiful book. Everyone should lay their hands. There are many reasons I have been explaining since the last few sessions, and today I'll give my own experience about how Nash can transform your practice. One of the beautiful things is that he has given all the remedies in a random order. It's not alphabetical. He mentions them. He wrote about them one after the other. How he experienced their relationship or what is relevant from the clinical point of view, and that is what is important for each homeopath. So he shares about belladonna as the trio of delirium, the first remedy from trio of delirium, belladonna. The other two are hyoscyamus and stramonium. And in all the three remedies, he mentions about the remedy which he shares about. For example, in belladonna, he shares about belladonna, but he also shares about hyoscyamus. He also shares about stramonium. So you are nowhere, let alone with a single remedy at a time. It's like a multiple remedies going on simultaneously in comparison to and fro, and that's how a homeopath should learn. He should be comparing and reading 5 7 remedies at a time which are similar in nature, and go and prescribe then which is required. Otherwise, you are just reading one materia medica, one remedy, and you think that this is the remedy. You become prejudiced. So, what Nash helps you do is to become unprejudiced by comparing all the remedies on a platter in front of you. In Belladonna, he mentions one very vital point, and this is mentioned in Aconite we took up yesterday, that belladonna has everything centering in the head. Now you have to understand this thing and you have to read between the lines. Our senior masters have always told that read between the lines. What is it? Everything centers around the head. This means that something is localized. Going further, he says that localized inflammation or congestion is the key factor for prescribing belladonna. He imagines lot of things. He sees ghosts, he sees hideous faces, animals, insects, etc., etc. and he gets violent by breaking stuff around him, or breaking things around him. And everything of this starts from the head. The sensorium is disturbed, there is localized congestion, because of which the sensorium is disturbed, and that is where the problem starts. So Nash beautifully writes about how everything in belladonna is centering in the head and not any other part of the body, which is very important. Next, in the further pages, belladonna is mentioned in around 4 to 5 pages. Nash mentions about comparing belladonna and chamomilla in cases of children, and he shares that for belladonna there will be a suddenness of symptoms without any warning. If you want to master acute cases, if you want to master giving prescriptions in very instant way in your clinic, you need to master these remedies, which is aconite, belladonna, chamomilla, senna, ipecac, pulsatilla, these remedies, nux vomica, because they are going to be your bread and butter to give you the strength to practice and go ahead and give the results in the desired number of hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. You don't have to wait for long. So what Nash mentions, that belladonna is a remedy which has complaints which come with suddenness without warning, and he gives this beautiful description. It is mentioned that the child is well 1 minute and he's sick the very next. You will have so many patients in your clinic telling you that nothing, doctor, he was so totally fine till yesterday morning, and suddenly in the afternoon he developed complaints. Today morning he was fine, and suddenly in today afternoon he developed complaint, and now it is 5 p.m., 6 p.m. I am bringing the child to you. That is belladonna for you, my friends. That is aconite for you. But over here we are discussing belladonna, and how he mentions how belladonna will be presenting to you. There will be just everything centering around the head. There will be red face, or there will be congestion of the face, or there will be localized complaints. It can be something in the nose, only coryza is there. It can be only cough, again localization. So everywhere that you see, you need to find out localization, localized congestion, localized inflammation. Once you are able to read between the lines from Nash and hear between the words from the patient, your job to prescribe these remedies becomes easier. Hot, red face, semi-stuporous, he is feeling sleepy but can't sleep. And if he was sleeping, he was very much disturbed by the noise outside or from the jerks from his own body. That's what is a true picture of belladonna in the first few hours of presentation of the patient in your clinic. Now, going further, Dr. Nash compares the pains of belladonna with stannum and sulfuric acid. You know that belladonna has suddenness of complaints, pains come and go suddenly. Stannum will have pain which gradually increase and gradually decrease, whereas sulfuric acid will have gradual increase but sudden stoppage of pains. Sometimes you will get these descriptions from the patients. Nash has given beautiful description in his Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics. I would urge everyone to go and read this book. Next, you have is something that is very peculiar, and he has found too many times in his practice, and that is congestive headache aggravated by lying down. Now, he gives us a case of Lippe, and it's a beautiful description of 10 to 15 lines where Dr. Lippe had seen a case, and that was not improving with any other medicine, but how it improved on belladonna. The modality was aggravated by lying down. And if you see any other patient who has similar complaints, you have the presentation for belladonna very much in front of your eyes. Next is the downward pressure. So either everything will be directed upwards or everything will be directed downwards. And the basic idea is that there is a kind of a congestion. Once you understand this, you will see that downward pressure in abdomen, belladonna is there, and same is also present in lilium tigrinum and sepia. So going further, the next remedy which Nash picks up is hyoscyamus. Now Dr. Nash starts about sharing about the trio of delirium, which is belladonna, hyoscyamus, and stramonium. And he shares that in the next few pages, I'll be describing all the three remedies and how they differ from each other. And that is important for a homeopath. He mentions that the delirium of hyoscyamus is kind of a stupid in nature. What do you mean by stupid? There is some person who is lying in the bed who is not replying to you. A patient who comes to you, you ask him something, he's not replying to you. That is the stupidity which Nash wants us to observe in our patients. He gives a beautiful description of typhoid. I'm sure it will be a tough time for homeopath to get such a case of typhoid, which is half eyes open, half eyes closed, picks the bedclothes, indistinct muttering, complete prostration of mind and body. Perhaps there were no less doctors in his area when he practiced homeopathy. That's why he could see those patients. But what we will see is a kind of a patient who is bordering on these symptoms. That is, he's half eyes open, half eyes closed, or a kind of a stupid behavior where he's not replying to us, or the relatives will tell us that they are not replying to us. That's where you will be able to prescribe hyoscyamus. The other picture of hyoscyamus, what Nash gives, is that there is a kind of a suspicion in all the patients of hyoscyamus, and he is jealous of others, or the first attack of his problem starts from jealousy. You have to understand this thing. It comes on many times in children, it comes on many times in adults, when there are lot of people around the person whom this patient trusts, and this patient feels that there is a kind of a jealousy which I don't want that person to be around. That's where the state of hyoscyamus is rooted or starts sprouting, and then you can prescribe hyoscyamus. So there is no need to get into any method, there is no need to get into any complex scenarios. Just you need to remember that this jealousy which the patient will have, it will be from someone who is around their trustworthy source of person. That will give you the power to prescribe hyoscyamus. And next he goes further and shares about alternating state of mind. Some patient who is very shy, holding himself back, at the very next moment, within a few moments, he is very violent, he is very outspoken, he throws things around, people around, and you will feel that it's a kind of a state of belladonna. And these three remedies which we see, hyoscyamus, belladonna, stramonium, we will see very often in all the children cases, where children kind of tend to get into that state of belladonna, where they become violent, throw things when they are growing or when their demands are not met. Second stage, when they develop the sibling, or when the new sibling comes, this brother or sister, and they develop the hyoscyamus state where there is jealousy. And then the third state will come, which is the stramonium state. He will become loquacious, no one is listening to him at home, at school he will become loquacious, he will shout, he will howl, he will laugh, he will make an attraction so that other people notice him. That is the reason he gives these three remedies in a combination, and that's what I want you all to understand. Read between the words and hear between the lines from the patients. So for hyoscyamus, he Dr. Nash gives further explanation of how the convulsions and spasms will be. I will not be able to enumerate exactly how he has written. I want everyone to go back, pick up Nash Therapeutics, Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics Nash, and read this remedy. In fact, in a series of all the remedies that are mentioned, and you will beautifully experience how he is sitting beside you, and telling you what to give, when to give, how to give, and how much to give, and when not to give. So then he gives that Hahnemann had once upon a time prescribed bryonia and rust dogs to fever cases. Now, he says that similarly, I have found that hyoscyamus and rust dogs I have alternated in some of the types of fevers and I have succeeded pretty well. He has given a beautiful description. You should go and read about it. The third remedy, which Dr. Nash mentions, and this is the last remedy that we will be taking up right now, is the stramonium as a uh, trio of delirium. The degree of intensity in stramonium is different. That is the first line Dr. Nash mentions. And as I described few minutes ago, there is singing, laughing, whistling, screaming, praying, piteous, raving, loquacious, and whatnot, all the eccentric behaviors. So you can see that the journey of the trio of delirium remedies start from someone who is within himself, someone who is doing things, breaking things just for his pleasure. Then he goes that into a state of hyoscyamus where he finds that someone is not reciprocating, or someone else has invaded his territory, or someone else has kind of encroached upon his views or ideas. And then next comes a state where he wants to get loud out in the world and scream and tell everyone and do eccentric behaviors. That will be the beautiful explanation of how the patient will migrate from one state to another if he is not paid attention to. And that's what trio of delirium from Nash actually means. The degree of intensity is different. Everything that is eccentric will be seen in stramonium. He throws himself in various positions. This is the exact description written by Dr. Nash. And once you understand what does this mean, throws himself in various positions, you will see so many children who kind of adapt to various attitudes to do stuff. It can be sleep, it can be playing, it can be to get their demands fulfilled. That will be stramonium. It can be adults who kind of behave very eccentrically when they approach to you in the clinic, and you will feel, why is he behaving so awkwardly, so differently. That will be the area where you will be prescribing stramonium. Another state that Dr. Nash prescribes is that he gives a case of a particular lady who had various sensations. She used to keep on praying. She used to call all the religious people that she wants to die, and she wants to bring them and say prayers with them. That will be the state of stramonium. But how he came to stramonium was because he had failed with glonoin, natrum carb, and lachesis, and he didn't knew what to prescribe next. And the patient had vague sensations in her body, like her legs and hands are too enlarged, too big, or too large. That's where he found that this lady requires stramonium, and that's where he gave stramonium. And how the lady improved, he gives it very beautiful description in an entire page. I urge all the people to go and read this remedy from the Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics by Nash. And last but not the least, he mentions about comparisons between hyoscyamus, belladonna, and stramonium. So in the delirium cases, you will see that hyoscyamus is a kind of a stupid. So one remedy which is on the left side or right side of the spectrum of stupidity, and in between there is belladonna, and on the other side, which is the extreme end of the opposite end of hyoscyamus, you will have stramonium, which behaves eccentrically, throws himself. This is how he described. If I were to put it in a chart, I would say hyoscyamus, belladonna, and stramonium. And what will be the conduct of the patient? There will be twitching, picking in cases of hyoscyamus. There will be jerks when the patient falls to sleep. All the patients who develop jerks or twitches when they fall to sleep, and if they are very much hyperactivity in their nature, they will require belladonna. That's what Dr. Nash says when he compares all the three remedies. And then stramonium will be someone who is even more louder than hyoscyamus, and belladonna, who is who are much more milder in form than the stramonium as a remedy. And lastly, Dr. Nash tells us that he cured some patients using CM potency. Now we have another situation over here where Dr. Nash gives us that he mentions about some potency which is extraordinarily high. Homeopaths have been struggling with potency, but if you read the right references, the right books, probably your job to prescribe with confidence will become much better. So that's all from today's session on Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics by Nash. We took up three remedies, which is trio of delirium, and I hope if it has helped anyone who is watching. Dr. Sri Lekha, hello, how are you? And Dr. Shahid and Govind Rajput, etc., who have joined. Those who wish to watch this again, there will be a recording which you can see later on, and there are some interesting excerpts which I am putting together and bringing forward in front of you to discover this valuable gem from our valuable author, which is Dr. E.B. Nash.